Mykolaiv City on the Wave. It's organized by Mykolaiv City Council together with Ukrainian Association of Business Support Centers. It's supported by Mykolaiv Regional Military Administration and it's conducted as part of initiatives Mayors for Economic Growth, funded by the European Union and supported by the Foundation of Innovations, funded by the Kingdom of Denmark. The projects are implemented by United Nations Development Programme, also known as UNDP. We will be talking about incredible city of Mykolaiv. We will be talking about the city of Mykolaiv on the International Black Sea Day. And it's also very important because sometimes Mykolaiv is perceived as a riverbank city. Yes, it's a riverbank city, but this rivers go into the Black Sea. And now Mykolaiv has a sad but very honorable reputation of the fortress that once blocked the advancement of Russian invaders. Mykolaiv is a hero city, and people who live and work in this city and in these regions are real heroes. And we have not just to realize their potentials, but empower them and offer them new opportunities for implementing it. And here the word synergy is very suitable. We need to join the efforts of various organizations, peoples, communities. It's of utmost importance. And regional and municipal authorities also unite. Various foundations, businesses are uniting. We have invited to this conference people who determine our nearest future, and the nearest future determines our long-term future. Therefore, it's very important since the very beginning learn from people who are directly involved in organization of this event and in implementation of its outcomes. To learn the answer to the question, what have you brought to this conference and what do you expect from our participants? Therefore, I kindly invite Mr. Vitaly Kim, head of Mykolaiv Regional Military Administration, for his opening remarks. Okay, hello everyone. Thank you so much for joining this event. We are very honored to see Their Excellencies ambassadors, our friends and allies in this hall. We know that many of you visit Mykolaiv more often than I visit Mykolaiv. That's for you, Mr. Ole. Thank you so much. And indeed, over this time, Mykolaiv has changed a lot. In 2022, we started this journey now, but we have improved now, but we have also changed. We have changed for the better. Right now we have a totally different motivation. We are proud of our achievements, of our power of will, and we are dedicated and committed to do our best in order to make Mykolaiv region a better place. I'm sincerely grateful to our young and progressive mayor who's building the Mykolaiv brand, because based on this Mykolaiv brand we develop our regional strategy in order to make sure that our projects multiply and propagate. And now a few words about the future. We are here in this world to make a difference and to make our future better. So in Mykolaiv region we have the Regional Office for International Cooperation, and right now we are about to open similar offices in other joint territorial communities. And these offices have expertise and experience in cooperation with international organizations and building international partnerships. This day we are planning a visit to Denmark and to Germany in order to build relations between territorial communities and the partner cities and towns. It will allow us to significantly improve the quality of management and borrow some of the European best practices to implement them in our region. This experience and this knowledge will give a momentum for development of Mykolaiv region. I truly believe in it. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us and offering your help. Thank you so much, Vitaly. Giving a momentum is always important, but of course, momentum always results in some inertia, and you need to pass this momentum to other people. Mykolaiv region can actually become a driver for Ukraine. Mr. Vitaly Kim described Alexander Sienkiewicz as a progressive mayor. In Ukrainian language, there is another word of progress. Word progress means stepping forwards. Sienkiewicz is progressive, but he is very stubborn. He is very hardworking. And he's the person who probably knows Mykolaiv the best. Mr. Sienkiewicz, the floor is yours for your opening remarks. Hello, dear friends. You know, I'm really pleased and really honored to be described as young, because I'm not a young person anymore. You are flattering me. It depends on its relative. But you know, I'm not a young person. But I'm really happy to welcome everyone in this venue. We are really honored by it. Thank you so much for showing your interest and for coming here. So why do we facilitate this conference in Kiev rather than in Mykolaiv? To make it more convenient for you to come, so you can feel safer in the city of Kiev, and it's easier for you to find the time to visit us and take part in our discussion. During this forum, we will be talking a lot about Mykolaiv, about our challenges and our achievements. And actually, well, why are we here? First of all, the city of Mykolaiv, it's unique. And this project is truly unique. Secondly, we have a unique experience of city, of municipal level and regional level cooperation. Mr. Kim just voiced a few compliments for our city, and I want to respond to it. Now, the city of Mykolaiv and Mykolaiv region have built unique cooperation at the regional and municipal level. We all often synchronize our projects. We don't have any competitions. We compete only with other regions and our cities. And our teams are always synchronized and have a common, unified vision. We have a unique experience of cooperation with the Kingdom of Denmark. They basically adopted our city, you know, as I love to say. And today we work together to ensure our survival and to foster and cherish our future plans for post-war era. And we want to make it attractive for businesses. We don't want to focus not just on humanitarian aid, but on business development and development of our economic ties. Mykolaiv has unique experience with European anti-corruption initiatives. We want not just to cooperate with our partners, we also want to be transparent. My mother once said, cockroaches don't like the light. So we want to shed as much light as possible on all our partnership relations, to be transparent for our international partners and local businesses. Thank you so much, dear colleagues from European Anti-Corruption Association, for paying special attention to our city. And of course, I am sincerely grateful to our partners, and namely to UNDP and the mayors for economic development for facilitating such an important event for us. This is the first forum, but I hope it's not the last. I hope that we will learn some lessons and we will continue our quest. In order to plan your life, you need two tools. You need a clock and you need a compass. We often take a look at the clock, take a look at the watch, and we often forget about timing. But we focus sometimes too much and forget about our direction and go into a wrong direction. But now we need to check our clock. We need to make sure that we are on the same page and we need to choose the right direction. And it would be really important for us to hear your feedback after this meeting. Recently, We had the chance to meet with representatives of Netherlands, and I mentioned Steve Jobs. Bad managers hire professionals and then tell them what to do. But we want you to tell us what to do. We want to be good managers, so we really appreciate your feedback. Tell us where to go, how should we change our local and national regulatory framework and legislation so you would consider us as a reliable partner. Thank you so much. I hope today you will have a chance to do some networking. Our hero city is affected by Russian aggression, but thanks to our unity, thanks to our people, I'm pretty sure that our city will become even better. We will build back better than before the war. Thank you so much. Glory to Ukraine and glory to heroes. And by the way, if you haven't yet visited Mykolaiv and you have no idea how, and if you have no idea how beautiful the city is, even despite the war and destruction, back at the stand you have virtual reality goggles. You can wear them and take a look, but please do it during the break, not during the sessions. So, Denmark. Several speakers, two of our speakers mentioned the Kingdom of Denmark on the stage, and now I kindly invite Ole Edberg Mikkelsen, extraordinary ambassador of the Kingdom of Denmark to Ukraine, for his opening remarks. Please, the floor is yours.
It's very good to see so many friends from Mykolaiv here. A warm welcome to the capital city of Kiev, and I look forward to see you next time in Mykolaiv. I'm also very happy to see that many of my diplomatic colleagues have joined in this morning. It's really appreciated. But first of all, thank you so much to Governor Kim and Mayor Sienkiewicz for inviting me to take the floor this morning. And some of you might be asking, what is the Danish ambassador doing here? The future of Mykolaiv, that's not something for Denmark to decide. That's something for the citizens of the Oblast and the citizens of Ukraine and the government and the authorities to decide. So what is the Danish envoy doing in this context? Of course, my presence here is a reflection of the unique partnership that we have with the city and the Oblast of Mykolaiv. And many of you will know that this was the personal initiative of President Zelensky when he spoke online to our parliament on the 29th of March back in 2022. So this was at the darkest hour of the full-scale Russian aggression. The Russians were at the gates of the city, and on that day, the regional administrative building was hit by missiles, and sadly 40 people died. So this was on the very day when your president spoke to our parliament, and he suggested that Denmark should assume the patronage. Now, there wasn't a lot of enthusiasm in Copenhagen when this idea came up, because people were saying, well, normally we don't do this on a bilateral basis. We do that through international organizations, and what about corruption? What about the risk? And there's a war ongoing. But our prime minister came to Kiev a couple of weeks after, and when she met with the president, they simply decided that we should go on with this partnership. And even though we did not really have an idea how to do it, because we had never done it before, but thanks to the cooperation we had with the local and the regional authorities, national authorities, and the international organizations and Danish NGOs, we actually had a good start. And the focus in the beginning was on winterization of the city, making it possible for inhabitants to stay there during the winter, and also ensuring an emergency water supply, because the Russians, as you know, had cut off the water supply. It went surprisingly well, thanks to the hard work of our Ukrainian and international friends, and we are now in the next phase of focusing on rebuilding social and physical infrastructure, and not least on restarting economic activities, getting businesses back in operation. But we ran into a problem in that context, because no lender, neither Ukrainian nor international, would lend any money to companies operating so close to the front line. So we had to establish in our own Ukraine fund a special facility that makes it possible to issue loans and guarantees to companies, even if they are close to the front line. And this conference is about business operations in Mykolaiv, and I think this is a big, big challenge. And I would urge international lenders to follow the example that we have set, making it possible to issue loans and guarantees. Without credit, it will not be possible to restart economic activity. We also are focusing on getting educational institutions back in operation, because that will bring young people back to the city. The demographics of Mykolaiv is not very good. They need more people. We have helped getting the agricultural university back in operation, and now we are focusing on the National University for Shipbuilding, because that's part of the DNA of the city of shipbuilders, of course, and we hope that it can be modernized, not only in terms of the building and the premises. That's the least problem. It's also an issue to get it modernized in terms of curriculum, in terms of research profile, and making it a strong asset for the future of the city. And maybe one day it could become the Institute of Technology of Mykolaiv, because it has a very strong academic base. We have established a partnership with the University of Aalborg in northern Denmark, which in many ways have similarities. Aalborg is also a city where there used to be a lot of heavy industry. Now it's a high-tech hub. It's a research and development hub for the entire nation, and I think that Mykolaiv could get inspirations from the sister city of Aalborg, and I hope that Governor Kim, when he's traveling to Denmark soon, will talk to his colleagues in Aalborg. So all in all, the partnership has been working extremely well, and we even now have an embassy office in Mykolaiv. I'm the only ambassador with 2 embassies in Ukraine. It's an embassy office. So, and we have, I think, somewhere in the podium, we have, where's Jakob? Jakob is over here, and he will be around today and will be one of the panelists. So we have a strong presence there, and we will be there for the long run. For me, as Denmark's envoy, it has been really amazing to witness this development. I remember my first visit to Mykolaiv. It was a city in a war zone. It was very difficult to move around. Now it's a bustling metropolis. Last time I was there was a traffic jam for the first time, and in the beginning I was a bit annoyed because I was about to be late for a meeting, but then I was at the same time happy, because that was a sign of normality. And we even had a big bicycle event with several hundred participants a couple of months ago. So it's normality is on its way back. And I think that today's conference is a sign that the city and the region have now reached a point where it's possible to look ahead and develop a vision for the future. And I remember when I met you, Mr. Mayor, back in 2022, you said something very flattering about your vision for your city. You said something like, I want my city to become a small Denmark on the Black Sea, just as affluent, just as innovative, just as green, and just as non-corrupt. And of course, I was very flattered to hear that. And of course, we will be happy to provide you with inspiration on how to achieve this. And Denmark recently financed a master plan for the development of your city. It will take you in that direction. It has a strong focus on a green city, on making it a carbon neutral city. Its headline is towards a sustainable and carbon neutral city. And if you follow the recommendations, it will definitely bring closer to your city, closer to becoming a small Denmark on the Black Sea. And I'm happy to see that there are now also plans of making a master plan for the entire oblast, because it's not only the city, it's the entire oblast that we are, where we have the patronage. But Denmark is not the only source of inspiration. Last time I was in Mykolaiv, I went to the Agricultural University, and I met with some of the young students, and I mentioned this about Denmark, but there was a girl, she said, no, it's not Denmark, it's Dubai. I want my city to become a small Dubai on the Black Sea, with skyscrapers, with highways, with big, big shopping malls. And that's legitimate. There are many visions out there, and it's not up to us, it's up to the citizens and the authorities of Ukraine to decide which way you will go. And I can assure you one thing, whatever direction you will choose, Denmark will be your friend and your supporter. We are there for the long run. And this was what we promised President Zelensky back in 2022, and we're going to stick to our word. And Danes are proud to be the partners of the City of Heroes. So I wish you a successful conference. I'll be around today, and I hope to be able to talk to as many of you as possible. So once again, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for giving me the floor.
Дякую, пане посол.
Thank you, Your Excellency Ambassador. And of course, the answer to the questions what Denmark is doing in Mykolaiv is simple. Denmark is a large marine state, and Danish people often opened very remote countries for Europe. They reached India, sometimes they went farther, sometimes they went closer. But what Denmark is doing is a perfect example of what can be done as part of bilateral relationships. And of course, we highly appreciate this combination of efforts by various international stakeholders, many countries and many actors. This is what's done by specialized UN structures, such as United Nations Development Program. And now I kindly invite Mr. Silas, permanent representatives of the UNDP in Ukraine.
Dobre ranke. Good morning, everybody. It's really a great pleasure for me to be here, especially also sharing this panel with Vitaly, Alexander, Ole, and Gennady. I also want to thank all the ambassadors and people from various organizations and the private sector that are here today. It's really a very encouraging and inspirational event for us today here. I'm not in Mykolaiv as often as Ole, but I think both Vitaly and Alexander can say that I'm a close second. I visit the city and the oblast on a regular basis as often as I can for a number of reasons, both to see the development of the city over the years, over the 2 years that I visited, but also to get inspiration from not only the visionary leadership, but also from the actions being taken in the city and how, in spite of the war, in spite of the challenges, a city can still thrive, can still have a clear vision of what they want and how they're going to get there, and then also implement some of the areas that needs to be executed on. We really hope that this event here today will also be an inspiration for many other people, and not only to commit to Mykolaiv, but also for others to see what the city can do in terms of planning and also long-term development, and how to also work in spite of an ongoing war situation on new initiatives as well. As UNDP, we're very fortunate to have a number of initiatives undertaken in Mykolaiv. We both work on essential services, helping with areas such as debris removal, setting up of school shelters, as was mentioned, to bring young people back. We also have various energy initiatives helping the energy system, bring that back, the water system, and also solar panels to look in terms of new investments. We also invest in participatory processes, both for young people, women and men throughout Mykolaiv regions, to participate in the vision of the city, and also to be engaged in ongoing initiatives to also develop a future plan. And I think some of that strategies will be presented today by Vitaly and by Alexander in terms of the strategies that have already been developed. Part of the initiative for us is also to look at economic recovery. On my last visit, we visited a number of vocational training centers and skills building initiatives. It is encouraging to see the number of women starting to take not only an interest, but also start taking up jobs in various areas that were traditionally held by men. We had examples of tractor drivers, lorry drivers, people who are working in welding, in engineering, in areas that traditionally were held by men, but are also now requiring some new investments and skills and opportunities also for women to take initiatives there. So it's also interesting to see how the region and the city are investing in new opportunities, and also the realities of employment and skills and income generations for the society. Together, as was mentioned, also with Denmark and Sweden and the European Union, we've been able to establish recovery and development centers, both at the oblast level, but also at the city level, including in communities such as Voznesensk, which is in the Mykolaiv Oblast. So we both are doing it at the oblast level, but also at the municipality and also at community levels. These recovery centers bring international donor partners together, also help with the planning and implementation of new initiatives throughout the area, which is also encouraging to see how those are being developed and implemented throughout the city. Maybe just lastly to mention, this initiative here today is also sponsored and supported through the Bayers for Economic Growth initiative. It's a joint initiative also that we do with the European Union and Denmark and Sweden as well, as was mentioned. It really looks at bringing cities and mayors together for new initiatives. There's 5 countries participating in this regional event and over 240 mayors, and we're very happy to see Mykolaiv also part of this. It looks at new innovation, it looks at things like systems change, transformative initiatives that cities can also undertake, both to rebuild but also strengthen their community involvement in various processes. And some of those examples will be explained here today as part of the Blue and Green Economy Development Initiative that we've also been working on under this area. So this again, just thanks again to say everybody, I hope the City of the Wave conference will be very successful. It is really, as I mentioned, inspirational for us to be part of this. It is a wonderful journey and an example, not only I think to Ukrainian cities and oblasts, but also to the world of what can be done if there's visionary leadership and if a city and oblast is also willing to commit to its people in doing good development initiatives. So thank you very much. We look forward to the rest of the initiatives being presented here today. Дякую.
Дуже дякую. І однією з запорук того успіху
Actually, one of the prerequisites of success is your active participation and the possibility to meet each other. And Jakub already knows lots of people. And the name of the following speaker has been mentioned, but without the last name, Gennady Chizhikov, President of Ukrainian Trade and Industry Chamber. Vitaly, Alexander, Yako, Ole, dear friends, Your Excellencies, the ambassadors, international experts, Ukrainians, businessmen, I would like to greet all of you at this distinguished forum and tell you a very simple thing. Mykolaiv is unique. It is unique for Ukraine, unique for business, unique for expert. Ukraine told the whole world that it is a country of brave people. Now we have to prove to the whole world that this is a country of talented and industrious people, that this is a country where you should come and cooperate, find partners, have a rest, eat well, and so on. And all this tells us that Mykolaiv is among the first cities and regions of Ukraine that started drawing attention, not just for the whole country during the war, but attention to the city that is unique because it has access to the sea. What is sea for us? Ukraine was, is, and will always be a marine state. For business, 100 million tons of agricultural produce and other products. It's something that we can only export via the sea. And Mykolaiv always proved that this is a city of ships, this is a port, it is a place of respected people and great respect for business as well. And that's essential. Now, during the war and great challenges, we're thinking about the future. That's very good. We're drawing attention, that's also good. And now I would like to tell everyone that from the point of business, that's very important for us. For business, it is critical that There is a mayor here, the person responsible for the whole region. And together with the experts, they want to create the best conditions for business development, to draw attention to the city so that they are there. As for the principles, with Mr. Rodi and his team, with UNDP and other international experts, I had lots of meetings, and what I liked is that they don't think about the past, the way our city used to be, but using the example of Denmark, our great source of support to other country, they think about blue economy, about making our city attractive not just for Ukrainians, but for the whole world. So that when you take something new, there is something that attracts the whole world: green economy, green energy, and education. Because the city is only going to develop when it is interesting for young people, when it has the best universities, when it's going to give inspiration. And we shouldn't forget that people like working, earning money, looking at beautiful things, but they also like to relax. And the city and the environment, and that's among the greatest pearls of Ukraine, allows to have that relaxing experience. And I'm totally confident that the city will also be a place for people to come and become inspired by the energy of this great region. I would like to say that just as ever, we have to get together to solve important issues. I really like it that the region has powerful business associations, including trade and industry chamber. And we as a business are going to help because we depend on it for our country to be interesting and to draw attention, so that there are cities where it is great to develop business. I'm totally sure that we can do it all. With such great support of our international partner, Mykolaiv can become a pearl of southern Ukraine that is going to draw attention to our whole country and to business. Thanks a lot. Let us move forward together. Thank you, Gennady. And now we are moving to keynote speeches that are to define the strategy of current conference and also the strategy of our further work. And the first one to speak would be Vitaly Kim. He is going to speak about the priorities. Thanks a lot. I hope that they are going to work with my slides. Oh, I see the clicker here. I start from this. I'll change the strategy a little bit right now, and I'm going to do that. You know, before that, I used to work in business, and it's the first time that I came to the president's team to help at the elections in 2019. So I'm looking at everything from the point of investment risks, let's say. And I have faced lots of issues with the authorities, and what prevented me, actually, I never cooperated with the state. But now my task is for the investor to feel comfortable and understand that this is the only way how to safely invest into the region, to earn money, and to help the region. We have already some cases, wartime cases. I'll quote two of them. There is a company working that's Vestas plus DTEC, who built 128 megawatts of power generation, and now it's working. And that's actually during the war. It happened 2023. Also, restoration of Agrofusion factory with the help of international partners and Mr. Ole personally. So this factory was relaunched, and now it's 600 jobs brought back. This means that this is possible. And I am personally as a sort of invest nanny. And the big projects that are going to come and already exist, this is something that I accompany myself from the security point of view. As for Mykolaiv region, I'm going to briefly present. Our region is a logistical center. It has always been like that. It is very convenient and, well, maybe not useful, but in economy and logistics, it is something for the business to earn money. We had our airport bombed civilian airport that we have just restored and launched some international flights. But of course, after the victory, we are going to restore it yet again to add flights to our system. As for Mykolaiv region, Gennady said that Ukraine exports lots of cereals through 5 Mykolaiv ports. There's over 40 million tons used, just the grains, the cereals. So we calculated that increase in volume, it's possible to increase the volume threefold. There are several projects. Mykola, as an expert, can help me. So how many port projects, new port projects are there in Mykolaiv? There are 4 new projects in the which are ready for the investment in Mykolaiv region, and we see the potential increasing. Just for agriculture producers. Why do we see it like that? Because, okay, I'm going to move on. No, it won't work like that. Mykolaiv region, before the war started my work in 2020, my team and I, together with the mayor, we worked out the strategy, our civilian strategy. There were parameters like restoring river transport, maritime transport, maritime logistics, tourism. Honestly, we talked to Disneyland, even to have Disneyland in Koblevo, the first ever in Ukraine, but war interrupted all that. As for our benefits and uniqueness, that's the Black Sea Code, as the aquaculture. There's the meridian. The 46th latitude, that's considered to be the best for wine production in the world. Just like in Lazansky Valley and other wines. This is also our latitude that allows us to produce wines of the same quality due to the amount of sea, wind, and also the sea nearby. And, of course, shipbuilding, the restoration of this industry. That's something we planned before the war, but now the goal is to rebuild our strategy based on the current situation, the martial law, the active hostilities, and also restoration of Ukraine after our victory. One of the parameters that we invite to cooperate on is green energy. Why? Yes, we have a nuclear power plant in Yuzhno-Ukrainsk. It produces 25% of nuclear energy for the whole Ukraine. But very quickly, we are unfolding our business on the wind generation and sun energy, solar energy. And that's happening even during the war. Why? Because this is profitable to do in Mykolaiv region. Why is that so? Because we have over 300 sunny days per year and 330 or 340 days of wind, with the minimal speed of wind 7 meters per second. In a region that we are preparing. Now the communities have already prepared the located lands. They're preparing the technical conditions so that the investor comes and says, okay, I have 10 million, and they tell him, here are the land plots which are ready for investment. This region is the south of Mykolaiv region on the sea coast, where you can generate wind and solar energy and also make wines. Grow grapes. I invite everyone for that. What else do we have in Mykolaiv region for the investor? We have over 2 million hectares of agricultural lands, arable land. The first public auction started for the rent of the land from a state bank, including Mykolaiv region. As far as I remember, 3,000 hectares of land are already up for auction. Now you can register and take it up for lease for 14 years to have agricultural business. What's happening? In general, everyone uses the zero cycle of land processing. So the productivity of farmers is now low because we don't have access to the money, to the technologies, and we are unable to work like that because we always used to have a lot of land and we did that inefficiently. Increasing crop yields is something that I expect in the future. 3 or 4 times increase when we when the rented land moves into the private sector. So the demand of international companies for the guarantee, for long-term guarantees, for example, for 10 years of rent, will allow to invest in the agricultural sector in the nearest future. That's important. And Mykolaiv region is hopefully, we're going to be the first ones with the result. Apart from that, we have 2 registered industrial parks. They are finished. It's written here also 150 hectares, but the partners came and they already increased it up to 250 hectares, and we're going to increase even more. So that's the biggest park. We see a question mark here because it's a bit early to present it, but strategically we see that it is through the industrial park and the placement of big enterprises that will be able to restart the economy of the region. Also have government involved. We're talking about the involvement of all networks and opportunities. Now I'm also talking about the preferences for the business, about the taxes and everything to create conditions, more favorable conditions due to active hostilities. But for now, this issue has not been solved, but I believe in the industrial parks, and this is one of the instruments that is able to restore the region, how, for example, it was in Singapore. Then, another sector that is our advantage is the IT industry. We have lots of IT companies in the region. Historically, it so happened that Mykolaiv programmers travel all over the world, or they work online, and it's not like in our blood. It used to be like that because our technical university allowed people to be programmers. So IT potential and our university base allow to develop this sector. We also invite people for cooperation in this direction as one of the priorities in Mykolaiv region. That's it from me. Now, more details on blue economy will follow, but the last thing that I wanted to say is that all business is going to come to Mykolaiv region, is going to be protected and personally accompanied by our team. So I will be responsible for security, and you will be responsible for earning money. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Vitaly. Just one more question. We often use the words blue economy, but for someone, it may be a novelty. What is your reflection? What is your definition of the blue economy? Our strategic task is to move towards the European Union. Why? Because these are democratic states with the protection of human rights, businesses, property, ownership. We are adapting to the conditions of the European Union and in Europe, in developed countries. The protection, environmental protection, protection of technologies that allow not to damage the environment, that's among the priorities. So that is why we're getting prepared to work in the conditions that we're going to be among developed countries. So this is the transfer from our post-Soviet or socialist reduction to technologically correct ones, which takes into account all the norms that are to be there in civilized state. Thank you, Vitaly. Well, the keynote speech is the key, but there are some boxes you can only unlock when you have 2 keys. So the second key is something to be given by the city mayor, Alexander Sienkiewicz. It's a bit inconvenient, this roster here, because I'm going to cover up the pictures for you. Okay, good. We're going to start. Greetings, dear colleagues.
I planned to do it in English, but I decided to save your time because we are kind of running out of time. So I will do it in Ukrainian. Please put your headphones and listen to translation.
So Mykolaiv is a leader in its preparation to post-war renovation, and despite the war, the planning of restoration and post-war development of territorial community is extremely important. Planning enables us to define key priorities, to adapt processes for the challenges which are created by Russian occupational army every day. To rebuild Mykolaiv after the end of the war, we would need global financial efforts. The international community already makes a significant contribution in strengthening the current sustainability of Mykolaiv community, but in mid-term and long-term prospects, we would need additional support to create the pillars for a transformation of Mykolaiv into a thriving city with European values, well integrated in the European and global economies. The main strategic documents with the directions and principles of post-war economic restoration of the city are the following. The city strategy until 2027, unfortunately. Maybe someone is going to ask, how can you have a strategy for 3 years if it has to be done for 300 years, or for 30 years at least? Well, at least 10 years. Unfortunately, we have new challenges before us. The war dictates its own conditions, so we can formulate a strategy for the nearest time only. Also, we have a master plan of the city that we are going to discuss a lot today, and the blue economy concept. These are 3 mutually related and integrated documents. The strategy for development and restoration of Mykolaiv until 2027 was approved in April 2024. This strategy was developed thanks to the joint effort of a working group formed from the representatives of Mykolaiv City Council, its executive bodies, NGOs, business, academics, community, and Mykolaiv residents who provided their proposals when the citizen needs were studied and surveys were done on different relevant issues for city development. The strategy was developed with the support of UNDP, as well as One Works, an Italian company, and COWI, a Danish company, which got involved into the strategy development to integrate its main provisions as a mid-term document into the city master plan as a long-term planning document. An important principle when developing the strategy is involving the community into forming its main strategic goals. The involvement of residents took place by holding a survey and focus group discussions among city residents. In total, over 2,000 people participated in the surveys. There were focus groups organized among young people, IDPs, our new Mykolaiv residents, and business. The strategic vision presents a concise and generalized description of the prospects for Mykolaiv sustainable development in a long-term period with regard to its unique features. City residents determined the following strategic goals for the community development. The first one, the community is safe. This is the city where residents and guests feel safe. The community is comfortable. The city has European standards of life, quality of life and comfort. There are opportunities for personal business development. This is a city with high quality of municipal governance, which ensures dynamic development of the community with contemporary municipal services. The community is competitive. Southern Transport and Logistical Center of competitive and environmentally friendly industry, which ensures high investment attractiveness and defense capacities of the country. And the most important, this is a community of partnership, the sustainable, coherent community that forms new partner relations. These strategic goals are integrated in the concept of a master plan. Master plan of the city was developed in UN for Ukrainian Cities project under the aegis of European Economic Commission of the UN with the involvement of One Works and COWI. So what is the main project goal? Is to facilitate comprehensive restoration and transformation of Mykolaiv into a sustainable city, resilient city, helping sustainable development and inclusive growth. The development of master plan was actually had, first there was research which became the basis of the master plan. First of all, there was an assessment of losses. Even before the war, Mykolaiv was among the leaders in the development of its geoinformational system. That is, we collect all data and put them as layers on the city map, and afterwards we can analyze them. After the start of the war, together with Kyiv School of Economics, we developed an additional layer where we showed all losses that we were able to calculate with the location of these losses. So there was an evaluation of losses. The municipality, together with One Works Foundation, held some wide research of geoinformational system to reflect the losses due to the conflict, to understand which city districts and which land plots were mostly affected. This helped to define the priorities of interventions in short-term prospect to respond to the urgent needs. We also involved the stakeholders. The master plan concept was developed by a wide engagement of the community. This is just two examples of engagement events that happened during the last 2 years. To the left, you can see the results of the survey with 14,000 respondents. That demonstrates how Mykolaiv residents care and active in the forming of a future city. The main goals of the master plan, there are 6 goals. They were formed as a result of community engagement. They cover all aspects of development, from buildings to the natural environment, infrastructure, and transport. All this has to be strengthened by efficient governance. And in this sense, Mykolaiv City Council wants to show its example to other cities in the country. The subjects, the topics for city restoration covered the vectors, the development of which should be facilitated by the master plan to restore according to better than it was principle. Very often we talk in Ukraine about build back better. And if it is about Mykolaiv, here we have to say build forward. Because it was okay, but we want to have it better. We don't want it the way it was. So we want to return the quay of the river to the residents and also to expand the tourist proposal of the cities. They are going to become a key factor to restore local quality of life and economy. We also want to create special innovational industrial districts, neighborhoods, to make Mykolaiv a key national center in these fields. We also want to review again the concept of city territorial development to improve the conditions of life for our citizens. Urban development strategy is aimed at moving industrial ports further from the city center, instead consolidating the current industrial objects to the south of the city. This will open up valuable lands for regeneration and also will free up the riverbank. The master plan also defines key territories that can be densed, or they would require more civil objects. Landscape and natural environment are key advantages of Mykolaiv, thanks to the rivers and current green zones. The landscape strategy aims to strengthen the industrial heritage of the city and to create new green urban network that connects the city with the river and the surrounding localities. Green network. That's an extensive green system that will allow the city to help with the better quality of life of our citizens, to encourage active transportation like bicycles. And the natural environment also is going to win from the strategy, thanks to improved biodiversity and environmental system, which helps to mitigate climate change. The key component of the restored Mykolaiv will be mobility. Intensive transportation routes will be taken out from the center of the city via a new bypass road that leads to the southern zone, the industrial port. There would be nodes all over the city with easy access to different types of transport, accessibility for all. In particular, public transport will be improved thanks to the new park of trolleybuses. Partially, they are already in the city, and other environmentally friendly and flexible transportation like electric buses and trams that don't railways trams. Here I have to mention that together with EBRD we have a project to increase the amount of trolleybuses running autonomously. That's happening with the financial support of Danish government. The concept of blue economy as a component of master plan and strategies of the city is developed within the joint project of EU and UNDP Mayors for Economic Growth and supported by the Funds of Innovations financed by the Kingdom of Denmark. The blue economy concept has been developed using unique portfolio approach that allows to choose certain options, test them, and upscale the most efficient ones all over the city territory. The city portfolio was developed with the engagement of the public, academic community, and business, and consists of 2 soft and 3 hard components. Among these soft components is the analysis of current stakeholders and providing them with the support in introducing innovational business ideas in blue economy. Now a blue economy challenge has been launched, choosing 10 enterprises of small business for introduction of own projects. The following project is the Instrument Strategic Partnership, the conference City on the Wave. That's happening today for the first time, and is called to create a platform to build an extended partnership for the restoration of Mykolaiv.
Solid projects include transformation of 3 territories that can become economic drivers of post-war recovery, industrial park, and revitalization of the shipbuilding plant, as well as aquaport, reconsideration of the young sail school and adjacent territory, while turning it into educational hub and developing space for conducting business, as well as luxury time for citizens. Detailed concepts of these projects will be further presented by our partner OneWorks Foundations, and you can review these documents in detail by following this QR code. You can scan it with your mobile device and follow the link. I will leave this slide open, and next we are about to have some very exciting discussions, and I will kindly ask you to stay here until the end of the event, because later we will have a chance to discuss why you should act as ambassadors not just of your own country, but become ambassadors of Mykolaiv before your nations, and why Mykolaiv can and is willing to become the unique example of post-war recovery in Ukraine. Thank you for your attention. Thank you, Mr. Alexander. So you are mayor and you are resident of Mykolaiv. I have a question for you. What's your favorite spot in Mykolaiv? Unfortunately, I don't have a chance to visit it often. It's my home. But seriously, I think my favorite spot in Mykolaiv is Pier number 8, where people can enjoy the river, where people can connect to the river. They used to dance salsa and bachata and enjoy the outdoor music concerts before the war. This place represents the spirit of Mykolaiv. Thank you so much, Mr. Sienkiewicz. Dear colleagues, now we are about to have a very rare things that happen. It rarely happens at an event like this. When Mr. Sienkiewicz mentions 300 years strategy, I say, well, I think that strategy for 300 years are written by those who want to avoid responsibility, because after 300 years you don't have so many people to hold accountable, because the strategies we developed must be implemented as soon as possible. And right now we will witness the execution of 3 memorandums of understanding, 3 MOUs. Just a second. They will bring flags and pens to the stage. And it was repeatedly mentioned today. We are thinking about future. You're not just thinking about future. Even today, in the present day, you are shaping and building this future, and execution of these MOUs is one of the steps towards this goal. Now you are laying foundation for this future. So, for signing the MOU between Leroy Merlin Solidarity Charity Foundation and Mykolaiv Regional Military Administration, I kindly invite to the stage Mr. Vitaly Kin and Mr. Arden Mathieu Marie, the head of Leroy Merlin Solidarity Foundation. Please. The purpose of this memorandum is to support project focused on recovery, reconstruction, and construction of three types of target compounds: residential compounds, temporary accommodation facilities, and social, private, and public institutions, schools, kindergarten, orphanages. So, now, this first out of our three today's MOUs will be signed. Let me remind you, Leroy Merlin Solidarity Charity Foundation and Mykolaiv Regional Military Administration. I kindly encourage the signatories to exchange their counterparts. Yes. Thank you so much. So we will be watching the execution of this document, performance of this document. Mr. Marie, please stay here. Thank you, Mr. Kim. Because right now, the head of the foundation will be signing another MOU, this time with the mayor of Mykolaiv, Mr. Sienkiewicz. So, charity organization Leroy Merlin Solidarity Charity Foundation and Mykolaiv City Council are about to sign another MOU on supporting the project focused on recovery, reconstruction, and construction of three types of target facilities: residential housing, temporary accommodation facilities, and public and private social infrastructure. They deserve your applause. And now I will kindly ask Mr. Sienkiewicz to stay on the stage because he's about to sign another MOU. And I kindly invite the leader of construction component of building resilience of cities in terms of light support of local territorial communities in Ukraine, Mr. Ralph Grotenhof. And now I finally have a chance to say the words I really love to say. He represents German Society of International Cooperation, Gesellschaft für internationale Zusammenarbeit. We rarely have chance to say it. We usually call this organization GSZ, but it's very respectable and very honorable German organization. So this MOU is about supply of aid in form of 7 cogeneration installations for combined generation of heat and electric energy, which is much needed for everyone. Thank you so much. Your applause, please. So, now it's time for us. It's time for me to speak for 2 more minutes, so we can move away the table from a stage. It usually doesn't take much time, but in the meanwhile, I would like to recall the words of His Excellency, Ambassador of the Kingdom of Denmark to Ukraine. He said, I saw the traffic jams, and it was a witness of coming back to normal life. But traffic jams, it's not a normality. We are looking for normality amidst abnormal things, and it's paradoxical. We're learning how to live in this new reality. And now I have a question. Some of you may know answer to it, but many of you unfortunately don't. So what's common between this hall in Parkovy and Hidinski Opera Theatre? Both of these halls are very successful to host the event of Mr. Genov, who knows how to deliver the message and receive strong applause from the audience. Roden Genov is a managing partner of Roden Genov and Associates, international expert on cluster and innovation. He is author of several books, and his company is a developer and implementer of cluster development projects in many countries. And since recently, they have had a very fruitful cooperation with Denmark. And this is Mr. Genov's second visit to Ukraine. And this visit is possible because he's a keen diver. And today you will hear, and in English version of our agenda, it's called Deep Dive. Mr. Roden Genov, Blue Economy as a driver for recovery of Mykolaiv.
Honourable Mayor, the Honourable Ambassador of Denmark and Romania. It is great to be back in the Ukraine, to be amongst friends and colleagues, those people that I met in Lviv at the Lviv Urban Forum just a couple of months ago. It is great to be back here and to share our experiences with you. In Lviv, we spoke about so many different things, and I was so inspired about how this extraordinary group of people can do so much at a time of crisis. And this is from our whiteboard. We do impossible things every day, and that is the inspiration for today's presentation. Do the impossible. And we've all been sitting down for a moment. I'm going to go through the impossible. I'd like everybody to stand up for a moment and just shake it off. Can everybody just stand up? You've been sitting now for over an hour. Just stand up. 5 seconds. Let's get into the groove because you're going to go really fast and furious. You're going to have to put on your seatbelts. Okay, let's go. Are you ready? Today, let's sit down. Let's sit down. Today, I want you to suspend your judgment. We all have ideas about economic development, industry clusters, economic development. I talk really fast because this is where we need to be going. We need to suspend our judgment. We all have preconceived ideas about how to do things. If we don't suspend our judgment, we do the same things the same way, which is why both the governor and the mayor have been saying we need to be doing new things differently. So let's today suspend our judgment. Let's today take you on a journey from London, Paris, New York, Sydney, and Mykolaiv. The vision that has been outlined here is such an extraordinary one, a world-class one. And the interesting thing here, as Gennady, the president of the chamber, said, Mykolaiv is absolutely unique because a city's technology trajectory comes from the industries that it has. So let's think about Mykolaiv and shipbuilding. Global expertise in mathematics, science, applied materials engineering, integration services, automation. What an extraordinary history of endeavour this city is coming from. And if we need to know more about this, please ask the ambassador, because in Aalborg they had a shipbuilding industry. It went from an electronics, and now it is a world-class centre for wind industry. I know because I audited that industry in Denmark. This is extremely important that we understand these things. We know that shipbuilding, aerospace, and the automotive industry are absolutely foundational industries to any new economy, high-wage, high-tech industries. And this is where we need to understand Mykolaiv's new economy, technology, trajectory that comes out of the blue economy that's been spoken about today. But folks, the devil is in the detail. So let's start. This is going to be a little bit boring for some people, but this is so important. Working with Artem and his team in the maritime cluster, we opened up what is the shipping cluster look like. We can see there, they're the things that we know. The future drivers, as both the governor and the mayor have spoken about, renewable energy, biotech, that's great. But also we need to go into the detail. We've broken open this to some 120 sectors. This is the energy that we need to be thinking about within this industry, because if we don't know the individual component parts, we can't bring them together to get those investment drivers. And of course, banking, finance, insurance. But this is the important part. These industries are also the foundational industries to put the rest of the region to work and the rest of the city to work, and indeed it will support the reconstruction for Ukraine as a whole. Look at them, you can see them there. Electronics design, systems integration, engineering, electrical services, and of course insurance banking from Lloyds Bank in London through to Aalborg and Rotterdam, the companies that we're talking about. We've developed a blue economy strategy. I'm not going to bore you with that because today we're actually going to talk about turning strategy into practice and some practical pathways that we've developed from our global and international experience, which we're now sharing with the people and the city of Mykolaiv. And the smart collaboration tools that we've pioneered to support the creation of new collaborations that will help rebuild that reconstruction. When these two elements are combined, they are absolutely transformational. So, where have we done it? Everybody wants to know, how does this work? Well, I'm going to take you to Sweden because this is our latest project. It resulted in this book, 450 pages if you want to read it. It was commissioned by the Regional Banking Association of Sweden. Why? Because it was written for their SMEs about how to create these strategic partnerships. And it was then launched in the Swedish Parliament. Why was it launched in the Swedish Parliament? Because we created this, Villa Zero. This looks like an ordinary house. You've seen houses like this before, but this is the world's first certified carbon neutral house, a project which has now doubled the brand value of the building construction company. So how did we do it? Here we have Gabriella. She's the CEO of an architecture company. Here we have Christina, the CEO of an engineering company. We combine their capabilities into a turnkey solution. So we know that architects need engineers to certify projects, and we need the engineers to have the architects to work together to win those projects. And so we have two fantastic women working together, integrating the company's joint capabilities to then partner with Sweden's second largest home building company to bring together 40 sub-suppliers, universities, regional administrations to create this world first from this project. And it was built by women. And that's very important, picking up Jaakko's left, but he was talking about how important the gender component was. And so here it is. Out of this project, we also created a new association called Women Building Sweden. This is not about women coming together and meeting and doing leadership work. This is profound. This is about women working together, CEOs to create new joint ventures, to win new contracts, to drive local investment, to stop the brain drain from regions into the big cities so they can keep their talent there. And this is important because this ebbs from the work of the Swedish government and a book that I wrote called New Women, New Men, New Economy, which we launched at the Sydney Opera House, where we showed that gender-balanced teams are twice as innovative and deliver superior financial performance. We're very proud of this project in the region because we've just been announced as the 2024 winner for Sweden for industrial transition. So these are the models now that we are sharing with our colleagues in Mykolaiv. So how do we do it? The project mantra that we have is work with what you have. There's no point in going off to Silicon Valley. We have to work with those companies we have on the ground right now. We need to work from the bottom up. There's no point in just fabricating. We need to work brick by brick from the bottom up. And we need to, as we've done in Sweden with those women and the company, to have intentional collaboration, not just meeting in networks and social events, but intentional collaborations to do the business and to get it over the ground. So for some of you, you may already know this, but for some of you, this may be new. Let's have a look at a typical network of your company. This is a little bit like your friends and your family. Governor, who's your best friend? You must have many.
All my citizens.
All your citizens. Do you have who's your best man?
My best mate is my wife.
Yep. Okay. So here we have long-term partner wife, and I'm wearing my wife's cufflinks. I'll come back to that in a moment. We all have them, and we all know them. They're our strategic partners that we can rely on day-to-day business. And in here, they're the people you invite to the Christmas party at the end of the year. When we understand these relationships between companies and their financial and their technical and their long-term relationships, we can start building a real interesting map of how this works. Then on the other side, we have the customers, and we know that in the case of Ukraine at the moment, as the mayor had, the Honourable Mayor had just outlined a moment ago, many have been destroyed, some partially destroyed, some not growing, but there's always a pathway to growth. And this, in our team, we call the yellow brick road. And we'll talk about that in a moment. Because once we understand these pathways, we can put these connections to work to create new opportunities, create new value, create new products and services, as we've just done in Sweden and so many other different countries. So, the strategic collaboration support. Yes, you can do the impossible. For companies to do something that they can't do alone, that's the power of collaboration. To integrate their design and industrial capacities and capabilities to do those things that they can't do alone. And this is important because we all read the financial press, the media darlings, the startups, the unicorns. Everybody wants a new billion-dollar company. But beneath the iceberg are all your SMEs, those companies that have been there for a long time. They anchor economy-wide jobs. And they can scale. As we saw in Sweden, established companies can move quickly and scale to become larger, have bigger impact, drive productivity in the region because they have the knowledge and the resources in-house. You don't have to go and buy it. It's in-house, in your region, in your city. And we're creating some strategic collaborations right here, right now in Mykolaiv. This is very early days. We have just started this process. But let's see where we've got so far as a particular case study. To support this process, the tools that we're using, the strategic collaboration tools, are developed in Australia, and then we rolled these out right across Denmark. The Danish government funded this work, 50 million kroner, to roll out across the industrial heartland of Mid-Jutland. So this is about how we forge these companies together, and I've shared this methodology with our colleagues in the city of Mykolaiv through the UNDP work that we're doing. So let's take a look. This is hot off the press. I'm not giving the name of the company because these are now my scribbles. This is what I see when I sit down with a company. So for any of you doing economic development on the ground, you know, officers and clusters, managers, always have your pencil and do something like this. The lead company is working with the university alumni. They work all over the world, global reach. They're in touch with technical and industry trends. How amazing is that? And they're working with software developers, engineering, naval architects, and of course, production. This is music to my ears. This is so interesting that it's coming out of Mykolaiv. And then, of course, its local markets have been destroyed. The difficulty now is maintaining what they've had. There's a pathway now to these energy markets we've been talking about this morning. This is a yellow brick road. So we're looking at pulling these collaborations together and building this out. And when we have a look at this, this is where the map comes back important. This is the devil in the detail. I'm sorry that that's a lot to look at, but Mr. Mayor, the red are the new industries. The yellow sectors, they are the yellow brick road. They are the customers. They are the suppliers. They are the opportunities. And when we know these, we can unlock that potential by making those connections. If we don't understand the detail, we're not making the connections. We're fabricating them. We think, wouldn't it be nice if companies collaborated together? What about if we had a structure to intentionally get these companies to collaborate together? But there's something else here too. This literally keeps me up at night. The reconstruction challenge. How to build Ukrainian national resilience through fair and equitable reconstruction. This is what we'd like. Ukrainian investors working with international investors, Ukrainian companies working with international companies, and wouldn't that be terrific if it works like that? But there is a significant reconstruction risk. Because of war, dislocation, the damage that was shown by the mayor just a moment ago, this is what it may end up looking like, which worries me a lot. Ukrainian companies getting locked out of the biggest and smartest contracts and getting locked into more low-value contracts. There's not a conspiracy theory here. This is just the fact of what is on the ground and thinking about, well, how do we address this? How do we address this issue to help build Ukrainian resilience? Well, we've started that process through the Blue Economy Project. And another quick little case study. The aim here is to help support manufacture to make Ukrainian resilience, to have intentional cross-border collaboration, SME to SME, industrial region to industrial region, Mykolaiv to Midtjylland in Denmark. And so this is what it looks like. Next week, I'll be spending several days in Midtjylland talking to companies that I've worked with for quite a long time, and they're keen to get involved. A lot of work needs to be done because we're at the very beginning of the process. But these companies are original equipment manufacturers. They make smart stuff. And we're exploring with them to produce under license. Of course, we need a Ukrainian company to sign a contract. So to work with that Ukrainian company, which we're working with Artem and his team eventually to work out who that could look like, and a production ecosystem locally. And then, of course, we need a governance structure. And this is where we need the president of the chamber, the ambassadors from the different countries, all the cluster managers from around the country, and the experts in investment finance and exports to bring this to life. And I just want to last few slides here. In Lviv, we talked about Mykolaiv being the city of collaboration, the DNA of trust, of openness, of integrity. And as we have here the Danish ambassador, he would know that this is the DNA of Denmark as well. And this is what's required for rebuilding and to have that collaboration dividend, generate new profits for companies. Our aim here is about putting to work Ukrainian ingenuity to tap Ukrainian talent. And as the speakers have spoken about this morning, the absolute importance of transparency to make this work. And we know that transparency requires trust and it requires collaboration. Without trust and collaboration, you cannot get the transparency that's required that people can build that particular level of trust. That's what's going to drive the green-blue economy. This, as we spoke about in Mykolaiv, is the Ukrainian way. And we certainly hope that this will be the Ukrainian way, and so that we can move towards that national resilience where there is an equal exchange between the companies so that they can build those ports of the future that you just talked about, Your Honourable Governor, the smart cities of the future, the technology, the demining that's going to be necessary, and of course, the amazing vision here. And I'll finish up by saying my wife gave me some cufflinks. On one, there is trust. On the other is written courage. Today you're demonstrating to me how Mykolaiv is developing that high integrated ecosystem of trust, and you certainly have all the courage that it takes to absolutely make the impossible become possible. And on behalf of all Australians, I wish to offer our solidarity with the Ukrainian people. Thank you.
Mr. Genev, I noticed that when you said that we have to work with the companies that we have on the ground, you made such a gesture. So how tight has to be your grip on the companies that we have? Isn't it better to offer them an open palm for a handshake?
Oh, of course. Trust, transparency, collaboration go together. Often, though, we have a strategy and an open way of working. We need to grab those companies we're working with through intentional collaboration. So from the bottom up, collaborations and more collaboration, that builds the ecosystem of trust, of energy, and those individual projects then can win new contracts, as our Swedish friends and Danish friends and Australian friends have done.
Big hand. Шановні колеги,
Colleagues, the first part of our work has finished. Now we have a coffee break that should have lasted for 20 minutes, but it will last 15. So at 11:45, we are coming back and we'll resume our work. We have very interesting discussions ahead. In the adjacent room, you'll find some sweet stuff.